CreateSpace?
CreateSpace, yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I mean, it's a print-on-demand platform that essentially has your book listed on Amazon at the same time by that process. So.
What is the, because I know that Amazon can sometimes be a bit expensive. Um, is the shipping costs the most expensive part of that platform, or is the printing cost fairly reasonable?
The shipping, yeah, it does add up. I mean, because they're shipping to Australia. I'm not sure where the books are produced from, but I imagine that they're calculating costs sort of US to Australia. So shipping does come into it. But then again, they do have different shipping options. So if you don't need your books priority, you can put them on the slowest shipping option, and it does cut down the costs. I think all in all, and look, I can't recall because I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I think each book will end up costing me between $4 and $5, and that will include printing and shipping. So there's plenty of margin left in it for myself.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I suppose if we sort of get on, so that was sort of what you did with your project. Maybe if we talk a little bit about what a person would need to start their own crowdfunding project. So what would be your 3 things that you would say a person would need before they start their own crowdfunding?
So are you talking about writing specifically, or just?
Yeah, for a writing project.
Okay. Look, with a writing project, I guess it really depends on where you are in terms of your life cycle of your writing career. If you're just starting out, I'd say that write the book, because without the book, I think it would be really difficult to convince an audience that you were going to write a book. I mean, writing a book it's a difficult thing to do. It's time consuming, and there's a lot involved. And if you haven't written anything before, then I think that it would just be that much harder to get the project crowdfunded, unless, of course, I don't know, maybe you've done a whole bunch of short stories or essays or something, and you've gained a following as a result of that. Then you could get crowdfunded to write the book. But otherwise, I'd say first things first, get the manuscript done. Secondly, if you have a base of followers already, just aggregate the list so that you can, whatever platform you're using, whether it's email or you're going to send them regular Facebook messages or whatever, but put it all in one place so that you can then actively market throughout the campaign. And do a video. I think the gains of making that personal connection with the viewer through a video are actually quite beneficial for the campaign. So for a new writer, write the book, do a video, and aggregate your list. For a more established writer, I think they could look at maybe upping the budget. So let's say if it's an established writer who's sold a few thousand copies or even tens of thousands of copies, and have an established fan base, then you might see that they set a budget of maybe 50,000 or more, and say, look, this is what I'm going to do for 6 months, and I need to pay my bills, and so this is essentially going to be my job. So please crowdfund me. I see that that's plausible for a more established writer with a larger fan base.
Exactly, because then they have fans who are eager for the next book.
That's right.
Anyway, and so they're able to, I suppose, have a more credible image because people know they can write well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I suppose sort of taking from those 3 things that you were talking about, the best way for somebody to get started before they launch their proposal is to actually think about who their market is, who they're launching to before they even start.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, when you go to write something, sometimes you write because you just want to write, but by the time you get to the point of saying you're going to run a crowdfunding campaign or project, you do really need to start thinking about, well, who's my target audience? You need to put your business hat on. It's sort of like I was putting my creative hat on to use the Possible platform to crowdfund a business book. Conversely, I think, a person doing a creative writing piece of fiction or something really needs to switch into a bit of a business mindset when it comes to, well, who is this book for? Because they're the people whom you should be telling about it.
So how much experience would you say a person needs to put together a successful project?
Not much at all. I mean, the guys at Possible, and they had an event in Brisbane actually a few weeks ago, and I got to meet them. This was all, I think, only a week after I had just completed the funding for my project. They're just, two guys set it up 3 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, and really down to earth, really great guys. And so they haven't made the process really onerous. I mean, I would imagine it would be a very different exercise to, let's say, applying for a grant or something. So in that sense, a one-pager explaining what you want to do, and you're up and running. And in terms of running the campaign itself, you really don't need that much experience at all. I mean, if you can write an email, if you can aggregate a list of email contacts, then yeah, you're pretty much set to go. So,
and I suppose you got to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah, that's it. That's probably the hardest part. So, but you have to. I mean, you're asking people for money, so it's always a hard thing to do.
Yes, definitely. Can you provide us some real examples of what you did to help pull people in? So you talked about your emails, but obviously you would have talked to people and.
Look, yeah, it was largely concentrated around the email marketing, but yeah, I did talk to people. So, when I see people at different gatherings or functions, the topic of my book would come up, and but it was never a hard sell. I didn't feel comfortable with that. I mean, and I'd say that many writers won't. It's just something that I think it's important to focus on building awareness. And then making it clear why there's an incentive there or benefit there for the person to crowdfund it. I mean, with the people who supported me, I'd say that a number of them will get value from reading the book. The book, by the way, it's called Customer Delight, Strategic Insights for Market Leaders. And so it will help businesses or business owners with their business. And then, so that would be about half or so of my supporters. The other half were just people who wanted to support me because they'd either worked with me in the past or, they've known me for some time. And it may then just be a book that they pass on to someone they know, whether a family member or a friend who runs a business or owns a business, and get value for them that way. So yeah, so bring it up in conversation, make sure there's awareness, and really demonstrate where it's going to be valuable. I guess for different types of books, it's a bit harder because mine has a very specific purpose, to help business owners and executives run better businesses to deliver customer delight. So it's a direct pitch. But if you're writing a work of fiction, then I guess you're just going to be selling on the appeal that, look, this is a great read for the long weekend at the Sunshine Coast or whatever. But whatever your angle, whether it's a thriller or, something that will make you feel good, I think it's important to know what that is and to highlight that for people.
When you said you were talking about building awareness, can you sort of expand on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, sure. There is awareness on multiple levels. So first of all, because you're crowdfunding and because crowdfunding as a concept is very new, you're going to have to explain that to people. And it's not always going to be very clear in the emails or the communications you send out. So if you can talk to people and say, this is crowdfunding and this is why I'm doing it this way, and then that will help. It's sort of like informing people about the process itself. Then, of course, awareness, because if someone reads something once, they probably won't retain it. But if they start to see a few emails about oh, okay, so you've written a book or you will be writing a book, it starts to sink in. It's sort of like taking up that real estate in someone's mental space, so that they're thinking about you more and they're actually aware of what you're doing. And then if you have samples to send along, maybe a sample chapter or something that kind of gives a deeper description of the work. That's another way to create awareness. So yeah, awareness at the level of what is crowdfunding, awareness at the level of you personally, who you are, what you do, why you're writing this book, what inspired you, the fact that you're doing it. There are so many angles which could lead into a whole range of email communications that you send out, where you're really making yourself the focus in someone's mind, so that they're thinking about you. And then lastly, but of course not least, is the focus or awareness about the work itself, and why it's an important piece of writing, and why it should be funded, and yeah, why you should read it.
Thanks very much for that, Elaine. That clears it a little bit in my head.
Okay.
I suppose if you had one secret to give about this publishing through crowdfunding,
yeah,
what would it be? What would be your ultimate secret?
Secret. Oh. I'd say hang in there. It would be the secret, because it will be tough, especially if it's a first run. But hang in there, and if you're asking for one secret, then that's the secret.
Well, I mean, as you said, you raised over half your funding in the last 3 days.
That's right. That's right.
So no, don't be afraid to push either.
Yeah, and that's it. You do have to get out there, and it's nerve-wracking, I mean, and especially we're talking about writers here, and I think not to generalize, but writers tend to keep to themselves and sort of be more introverted, if you like, and sit in front of, whether it's a screen or with a notepad, and write. So when it comes to, hey, look at me, and here's my product, and please give me some money so that I can get it out there, it's switching into a very different, I guess, aspect of personality, which I do feel that for some writers it will actually be quite a challenge, but it's worth doing. It's I found it a real sort of growing experience, in the way that I got to perceive the world, I guess, as a result of doing this. That because before doing it, it was a kind of, in my mind, this very technical exercise. Oh yes, you do a video, you do a web page, you set it up, you promote it, that's it. But afterwards, it had become more than that. I felt that it really helped me to build connections with people, and connections that I'm now maintaining as a result of the process. So yeah, something will happen that is more than what you expect, and I think that's part of the real value of crowdfunding.
Now that you have your funding, what's your plan of attack?
Well, yeah, we're proceeding as set out. So the design's been completed. The editing is almost complete. So the editor quoted for one edit, and then I did my set of edits as well, integrated those back into the file. She's now doing a second round of editing, and then I'll be typesetting the file, so have that ready, to have that ready for the printers. Then she'll do a final proofread, and that file, as well as the cover design file, will be uploaded to the CreateSpace platform. For printing, the ISBN's already been done, and other bits and pieces. Then the books will be ordered, delivered, and I'm working with an event manager to plan and coordinate the book launch for August. So that'll be it in terms of delivering on what I promised. But then after that, of course, there's the actual promotion for the book proper. So you can consider this a pre-promotion.